Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Elena and I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today. I've been thinking a lot lately about situational awareness. So let's start with what started this whole thought process. So December 1st, 2018, the CFO of Huawei, I don't know if I'm saying it right, you know, the cell phone company, Meng Wanzhou, I'm probably butchering her name. You know, I really love Asian names, the way they look, but I just can't pronounce them. They have such pretty names, and when they say their names, it sounds so pretty, but I just can't say them. But anyway, the CFO of Huawei, the phone company, she was on her way to Mexico and she had a layover, or she was switching planes in Vancouver, and she got arrested in Canada. There was an extradition treaty between the United States and Canada, which means that if something happens, Canada is obligated to follow through. So we had nothing to do with, although we had our suspicions, we had nothing to do with it. But because of the treaty, the United States wanted to arrest her. I think they had a warrant out for her in August 22nd, and she just happened to land in Canada and they grabbed her. So China was not very happy with this, and as retaliation, because we were holding on to her. So here's my thing. We're not even getting into the topic yet, but my thing, I've thought about this a lot. If we have this extradition treaty, the way I understand extradition treaties, I haven't really looked into it, is that we're holding on to somebody and we're supposed to be sending them to the person we're holding them for. So why were we holding on to her? Shouldn't we have just sent her to the United States? Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Like, a criminal does something, so they run to another country. So the point is, that other country is supposed to send them to the country they're running from. Isn't that how it's supposed to work? But anyway, we held on to her. So she was here in Canada. So China got upset, and so they grabbed two Canadians, one named Mark Kovrig and another named Michael Spavor. More names I can't pronounce. These men are still there. So this situation happened in December 2018, and we're now in 2020. While Meng got royalty treatment, so she was given like a nice home to live in, under house arrest, yes, these men were put into like prisons where they kept the lights on. So here's my point. I've been thinking about this. When this happened, a relationship between China and Canada obviously started to deteriorate. And so that means China is already a communist country. People go there. It's a beautiful country. Like, obviously they really do a lot to build up the look of the country. People visit the country for tourism and whatnot. Canadians go there a lot, but when that happened, Canadians started to feel hesitant. It's the same way how when I was a child, people used to go to Egypt. People used to go there to see the pyramids of Giza. People used to go to India to see the Taj Mahal. We don't go to these places anymore because relationships started to deteriorate and people stopped going to these places because your life would be in danger. So I have a coworker. She loves to travel. So she is so please listen to this with an open mind. Don't go into a negative headspace. When you travel around the world, you have to do a risk assessment. This is the world we live in right now. So for example, if you are an American, you have to think about what that means. A lot of places in the world, people don't like Americans. So let's say if you're an American and you go to India, or you go to Afghanistan, or you go to Africa, there's a very high possibility that somebody will try to do something bad to you. It also has to do with your skin color. If you have white skin color, or if you have a different accent, so if you have like a an English accent or an American accent or Australian sounding accent or something like that. These accents, they give the perception of wealth, of that's just how the world works. So for example, I was listening to something years ago. It had to do with Benedict Cumberbatch. I think it was Benedict Cumberbatch. And he said that he'd gone to Africa. I'm pretty sure it was him. I could be wrong. But he said that he was in Africa and they were held up. So it depends on the situation. So anyway, this friend, she's Middle Eastern. So she likes to travel. So we always talk about risk. She is Middle Eastern, but her family is they're a little upper class, so they have more wealth. And she was saying that she was taking a tour to Thailand because she likes to travel, but she was really scared of going because even though they have some money, obviously she's not gonna just spend the money ridiculously. She's gonna try and find deals. And the deal that she found with a tour group had us going first, taking a bus to New York, then the New York, stopping in New York for 12 hours, then taking a plane to China, stopping in China for 5 hours, and taking a plane from China, then going to Thailand. And we were talking about it for weeks and weeks before the whole trip. And she was scared. She kept bringing it up that she was worried that they might take her, like they might kidnap her when they see her Canadian passport. So I kept saying to her, I don't think anything will happen, but we kept talking about the whole situation of how China is upset with Canada. And she kept laughing and joking. She would say maybe nothing would happen, but then I could see the tenseness in her eyes that she would joke, but there was a little bit of worry in her mind, like it was in the back of her mind as well. Then just about, let's say just before the coronavirus started, like literally maybe let's say November, I had a customer at my workplace. He's a regular customer. He's the kind of person who likes to he's kind of like a jerk, but the kind of jerk that you like. And he was telling me how he was going to a wedding in China. And he was also saying, I'm gonna be there for 2 weeks. And then he was saying to me, if anything happens, can you come get me? And I'm like, oh my goodness, another person going to China. At least the other one is only gonna be there for 5 days. But I'm not sure if they're being serious or not, because he kept bringing it up too. And he kept telling me, please, make sure you come and get me. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I can't go to China. I don't know what to do. He's like, no, you have to come get me. I need you to promise to come. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not some action star. What am I gonna go do? Go to China and be like, hey, this person whose last name I don't even know, and I don't even know which city he's in, let him go? What am I supposed to do? But he was saying how they might capture people, and I'm just like, then why are you going? And then we got into like these arguments, and anyway, I was just like, so if they're aware that there are dangers, why are they making these decisions? And that's what got me to think that people have the ability to recognize that there are places that they're going that might have risks, but they just assume that they won't be the victims. Yet there are victims. We hear about it all the time. There are victims. I guess maybe because they assume they won't be the victim, they just assume that the risk, or rather the rewards outweigh the risks. I agree generally, yes, but not only that, okay, so yes, the rewards do outweigh the risks. It's good to explore. It's good to go out there and see the world, but not only are they not assuming that they're victims, they just assume blindly. They take every situation to be exactly the same. Like they treat, let's say, now in your everyday world, let's say you live in a world where, generally speaking, you could just walk outside your door. God forbid nothing happens. Let's say you could just walk here now. Let's say we're not living in Corona time and there's no pandemic going on and it's just normal time. You could just walk outside your door, go to the grocery store, come home. Nothing would happen. Let's say nothing would happen. That's a baseline 0. People treat every situation like baseline 0. They go to a terrorist country and they treat it like a baseline 0. They go into the middle of the ocean and they treat it like a baseline 0. They go cliff diving and they treat it like a baseline 0. They go skydiving, they treat it like baseline 0. Yes, the rewards are amazing, but you don't treat every situation like a baseline 0. You don't treat it like it's just walking from your house to go into the grocery store. You have to adjust based on the situation. You have to adjust. I get it. Yeah, you can't live your life assuming everything's gonna be bad, but you have to go out there and be prepared. I think it is that it's the self-bias. People have this thing that bad things don't happen to me. It happens to everybody else. It won't happen to me. Yes, statistically, anything can happen to anybody, but I'm special. That kind of stuff, it won't happen to me because it's never happened to me before. So what are the chances that it could happen to me? It's just not gonna happen to me. That's how people think. So I watch people, I'm just like, why? Don't treat it like it's not baseline 0. You go into these situations and then you're like, oh, no big deal. Like, and I'm not trying to be insensitive. What happened to this young boy was dreadful. And I don't know what actually happened, propaganda and all that. They said that he stole, remember the young boy? I forgot his name. The one who went to North Korea, and they said that he stole what do you call it? A poster in the hotel. And so they took him and they did all the horrible things to him. I'll put his name on the screen right now. First off, let's say he didn't steal a poster, because he could have. When you're young, you do dumb things. But my thing, even if he didn't steal a poster, why are you going to North Korea? I always wonder, why are you going to North Korea? It's not a walk in the park. Why are you going to North Korea? Why are you going there? Why? I get it. It sounds amazing. But why are you going there? Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Please don't go there. Because, okay, remember we talked about baseline 0, right? This was an argument that I had with my customer, the one who had to go to the wedding. We were arguing about this for days before he went, because he made me promise to go and save him, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to action hero this thing now. And we know how I feel about action heroes. I made a whole video about it. Now I have to go and action hero this thing if this guy gets caught. So we were arguing about this. When you put yourself in this kind of position, right? There are two situations. In a baseline 0, yes, bad things can happen. It's possible. You go to the grocery store, you might get hit by a car. It's possible. I'd say very unlikely. If you're being smart about it, it's possible. You might get into an altercation at the grocery store. Anything is possible, but it's still less likely. I feel like the chances of it happening it's not likely. That's why it doesn't happen very often. I'm not a mathematician. I'm sure there's some kind of statistics that say that the chances are equal, but I don't think that it's true, because I go to the grocery store all the time and things don't happen. But it's like, listen, when you go into these dangerous places, you hear it literally happens almost all the time. So I go to the grocery. You could say that maybe more people go to the grocery. It doesn't matter. More people are going to the grocery stores and still things are not happening. And yet fewer people are going to these dangerous places, and yet more things are happening there. So I was arguing this with my customer, and he kept saying it's equally the same amount of chance of bad things happening either way. Like, he could go outside the door and then he could get hit by a car. I'm like, but you're not gonna get hit by a car. We were like, people are so frustrated. I'm just like, you're asking me to go out there and save you, but you're saying dumb things. Like, you're saying stupid. It feels like you're telling me you're going to do dumb things out there, because you're arguing with me about going outside and getting hit by a car. So does that mean you're gonna go out there and do stupid things? So then I have to go and save you? People are so frustrating. So we would be arguing about this, and I'm just like trying to get him to understand that it doesn't work that way. This is not how it works. In the regular world, bad things happen, but they don't happen that often. That's how we structure society. We literally created society for it to be safe. That's how we create. That's why there are police officers and firefighters, and we have like traffic lights so that you don't get hit by a car. You know, the people who are getting hit by the car, they're the ones who are jaywalking, and it's the drivers who are drunk driving, and the people who are speeding. It's when people don't follow the guidelines that are set out. That's when the bad things happen. In these places, it's very likely they don't have any rules. They don't follow any of the rules. So, like, a celebrity went to Africa and he got held up by a person with a gun. Like, you know how weird that sounds? A celebrity. He went there and he got held up by a person with a gun. Like, you keep hearing these stories of these people going to these places and then they're getting taken. I'm just like, don't go there. Don't go to these places. Don't go, because then they expect somebody to come and rescue them, and then it puts more people in danger. And Canada already has this policy that they won't come for you, and they definitely will not give anybody money for you. It won't happen. So I was thinking of both of these situations. Both of these people, they were like joking and laughing, and I'm just like, people, like you I don't know how to take this seriously. Like, are you actually scared or are you not scared? Like, it's like they don't know, they're not, and people do this, they don't know how to deal with situations. So I was just like, okay, well, I don't know, I've given you guys advice. I said to the customer, you better not get taken, because just don't be dumb when you're there. I basically told him, just don't be dumb when you're there, and because I ain't coming there to get you. And I told my coworker to just be careful and keep her head down. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be super quiet. We're just gonna sit in the airport and wait until our flight comes, and we're just gonna go. At least she was really, really careful. So then I'm thinking to myself, what about me? To be fair, I always try to be, I'm very cautious as a person. I don't know, I just like to be aware of my situation. I don't like things to take me by surprise. So I always try to look at the situation clearly and act accordingly, right? I don't want to be in a situation and ask myself, how did I end up here? I don't know. I always look at these things where it happens to these people and then they're asking somebody else to come help them, because you don't ever know if help is gonna come. Sometimes help won't come. Sometimes you're there on your own, like these two men, the two Canadians, Mark Corvrig and Michael Sparkorv. They've been there since, it's been 2 years, and Canada can't get them. We can't force China. It's China. China is huge. Even America can't force China to do anything. And America likes to say they're the biggest. I don't want to ever ask myself, how did I end up here? And then to have like regrets and say, if I had done this, if I had done that instead, or if I had done anything differently. I'm not saying I don't want to live my life. Live your life. But also, don't be blind to the situation that you're in. I try to observe and I try to react properly. I always see people, they're always like frozen, like people just don't know how to react. Like when something happens, they're just like, what do I do? Should I do anything? Should I move? What is anybody else moving? Did you see that? What should we do? Like, should we move? And then when it's too late, then everybody starts to move, but they've lost so much time. So instead, what I try to do is I try to inform myself on situations. You never know. You never know when you might need it. If there's an earthquake, what to do during an earthquake? Because here's the thing, the human brain, to be fair, these people who freeze, we have this instinct, flight, fright, fight. So either what happens is either your brain, like it shuts down and it doesn't know what to do. So people, it's like you stop being able to think. That's why people just stand there. It's not anybody's fault. They just stand there. So I know my brain's gonna do that stupid thing where it just shuts down. So if you already have that information when the time comes, then you don't have to worry about thinking, because when you're in a stressful situation, your brain's not gonna be able to process any information, at least in any amount of time. It's not gonna be able to do that. So then that's why everybody's like, what should I do? What should I do? Should we do anything? Should I move? Is anybody moving? Am I gonna look dumb? What should I do? No. So instead, I have the information before. That way, I don't have to think. When the time comes, then I can just do what I already know what to do. The biggest thing I tell myself first is take myself out of the situation. So if something's going on and I know my brain is already shutting down and I'm so confused and I don't know what to do, take myself out, if possible. Just take myself out of that place. Something's going on, take out. Just nope, out of the situation. Nope, I'm out. Nope, bye-bye, I'm out. I'm gone. Then later on, I can just be like, okay, was that necessary? Or could I have done better? Or was it, just whatever. Just nope, out of that situation. So I can give an example of when that happened. It's kind of like it's a really terrible situation, but whatever. I'm just gonna tell it. Last summer, so summer 2019, I was on my way to work. I usually go to work a little bit early. I'm in the subway car. I'll put up a picture of where I normally sit. So like I said, I like to always have a plan. My thing is I don't like to be trapped. I always want to know where my exits are. I sound like first off, I don't like people squishing me. I don't like people sitting next to me. Here's the thing. Some people are really warm. Like some people have higher body temperatures than others. And I don't like it when a person who has a very high body temperature sits next to me. Something about their body being hotter against mine, I don't like it. So I tend to sit in this specific seat, and because people are weird and they don't like to sit next to each other, they won't sit there unless there's no seats. So because of the time of the day that I go, I'm almost guaranteed to have nobody sitting next to me. It's so terrible. I just don't want anybody to sit next to me. It's just basically it. Also, if you sit in one of those chairs that are facing forward, then people will squish you in and then they won't move. And then I do know a person who gets so upset with that, so when they move, they'll put their butts in people's face because they won't move. So I get why this person does that. It's just like, oh, you have a lot of... That's terrible. I couldn't do that though, even though I think that's so terrible to do. But I couldn't do that, so I just don't like to be squished in. So I always just sit in those chairs. And first off, it's closest to the door, because a lot of times I'm listening to a book, or I'm listening to music, or I'm watching some YouTube in the subway, and I'm not paying attention, so sometimes the door will open and I won't notice, and then I have to run out the door. So anyway, so we're sitting there. It's a PA day, so that's the schools are closed, the kids are out, and usually on the time I usually leave for work, there's usually a stop. So basically they do a crew change, so the train stays into the subway the subway station for about 5 to 10ish minutes. So everybody's just chilling out. We're just all there, just waiting for the train to start over. Then you hear boom, and you know the train stations, they're very cavernous, so it echoes. People were calm until they heard the first sound, and you could see instantly everybody just got so... You could see how people's attentions just changed. I was sitting in my private little seat on my own, and across from me, I'll point it to on the picture, there were these two men. I looked up, they looked at me, and we just looked at each other. It was just like this mental communication, like, what the heck was that? And then I grabbed my bag, because I'm like, what was that? That sounded like a gunshot. And there'd been a rash of shootings in the city. There's just like randomly, like people were like shooting people randomly. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Then you heard it again, right at my feet. There was like fire. I grabbed my... Oh, I'll blurb that out. I grabbed my stuff and I'm out the door. As soon as I got up, they got up too, and they followed me. As soon as they got up, everybody else got up. I was out the door. I was at the first door at the end of my car. Because I got up, they got up. Because they got up, everybody else got up. Then at the end of the car, you heard somebody yell, "Bomb!" which I don't like. That's terrible. Then it starts this whole mass exodus. Everybody starts running. I was in the first car. People in the second car, they could see us leaving. They don't know what's going on, but they see everybody running from that car, so they start running too. Then they see the other car sees everybody else running, so they start running too. Then they start running too. Then the next people start running. So basically the entire train, all cars just emptied. Oh my god, it's just terrible. It was just the worst thing. Everybody just started running. I see this little old Asian lady with her little, this little shopping baskets that the little old ladies always use. A little tiny woman, she's just running, pushing this little basket. And she's just running. I'm just like, oh my god, this is so terrible. Oh my gosh. Everybody's running up the stairs. We have these automatic doors. People were hopping, and they were not short. They're like 6 feet tall. People were hopping over this. There are usually these men whose jobs are to tell people information. I was one of the first people up the stairs because I'm not gonna be there. I watched this person's face, and it's just, you could see his eyes. It just went so big. It's just like, what the heck is going on? Just what the heck is going on? People just started running. We were all running up the stairs, and one man fell. Luckily, nobody trampled him. Actually, people started to pick him up, and then everybody scattered, and they were all gone. And that was apparently how I started a mass exodus of a subway car. So yes, my thing is to immediately leave. I didn't mean to make everybody leave the train. My goal is just that if something happens, I saw fire at my feet and it sounded like a gun. My goal was to get out of there because I wasn't sure if there was a gun. So I just wanted to make sure that if there's somebody firing, I'm not gonna be there where he's going to have a target. There were people randomly shooting people all over the city. Like, I didn't want to be there. So unfortunately, yeah, that was the thing that happened. Luckily, the TDC didn't say what it was. It just said the trains were delayed for 15 minutes. Unfortunately. So I'm not saying don't have fun. Life is amazing, and we're so very lucky to be here. Like, honestly, we're so lucky to be alive and even just being on this planet. Can you imagine what we just experience in life on Earth? Can you imagine what we could do just out there? So we should do things, just explore. It's just that life is a little bit more dangerous. So it's good to just pay attention, recognize the signs, and when you see danger, just don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. If you can't afford it, if you can't afford to ignore the danger, just be smart about it. Research. See what you can do to avoid it, and if you can't, see what you can do to, deal with it. An example, if you're moving to California, there are earthquakes. So, what can you do to deal with the earthquakes? Like, YouTube recommended this video to me. I will put a link to the video in the description. So basically, this video is a compilation of streamers during one of those really big earthquakes. I think it was last year that California had. It was just supposed to be like a cute reaction, but I tend to overthink like everything. I can't be like, haha, look at them, look at blah. My first reaction is, oh, look at their reaction. They just freeze. Nobody's reacting properly. Like, we've all gone to school and we all know what to do during an earthquake. I was watching the video, but I couldn't finish it because one of the streamers, it was a little hard to watch because she freaked out. She genuinely panicked. The others, they were kind of like jokey about it. But this one streamer, it was this girl. She was wearing like a blue shirt and shorts. She was saying how she was sleeping at night and there was an earthquake while she was sleeping, and she was so thankful that the earthquake happened while she was sleeping, and she was so happy that happened because she didn't know how she'd handle it. Then she just pulled her headphones off, and then she just that was such genuine fear. Like, you could tell this girl was so scared. Then she just ran. She forgot all about the stream and she just started praying, and I was just like, oh, this is so genuine. I couldn't watch it because I could tell this poor girl was so afraid. There was another one in the beginning where this young man, he said, I'm not from here. And he kept holding his phone. I'm like, is he about to call his mom? But it's the same thing where, because the brain, when you're afraid, the brain kind of shuts down. So you could tell he doesn't know what to do. Like, he's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Because your brain shuts down. It was clearly a big earthquake. Like, I could see the camera shaking. I'm like, okay, I can't watch this video anymore because it's too much. Especially when the girl started, she was just like praying and she was so scared. I'm like, okay, this is too much for me. I couldn't watch it, so I stopped. It's not that big of a deal. It's just that I overthink everything, and I was just like, this is a little too much for me. So my thing is, when you're going somewhere, stack the cards in your favor. You go into California, you know there are going to be earthquakes. Everybody knows this, and when I was a child I knew this. California equals earthquakes. They should make a song called California equals earthquakes. Everybody knows this. Do something about it. You, especially this girl, the Twitch girl who was so afraid. You especially are so afraid of earthquakes. Like, girl, do something about that. Don't just hope and pray. Hope and pray is good. But 2 minutes when you're afraid, 2 minutes feels like an eternity. Do something. Like, build yourself an earthquake room. I don't know how you do that, but I'm sure you make money on Twitch. Or even if you don't make money, you have, ask mom for help, ask dad for help, ask sis and bro and cousin and uncle for help. Google how to earthquake proof this room, what to do during an earthquake, how to protect myself during, I don't know, I don't live in an earthquake area. Think of what you do. Think of how to protect yourself. Like, think of these things. It's so frustrating to see people with the I don't know what to do look. If anything, if you don't have a way to protect yourself, at least have an exit strategy. Be prepared to drop everything. I was reading this article. It's so basically it's about when the pandemic started. I believe that the dude could have done things sooner, but I read this article and I was like, yeah dude, that's the way you do it. So basically, it's this New Zealand man. He came to Canada to work. A lot of people come to Canada to work. Canada is very open about stuff like that. I'm sure many cities are, but there are lots of opportunities for lots of different things in Canada. So basically, he is from New Zealand, and I believe that he worked. I'll link the article in the description somewhere. He basically works, I think he just gotten his big break for Second City. Don't quote me. Read the article, you'll get some better information on it. But he just got a big break. He was gonna work for Second City. That's like a comedy. They do comedy and improv and that kind of stuff. And basically, when you get that in Canada and in film, you get lots of opportunities. He was gonna stay in Canada. So a lot of people, they think about opportunities and they think about, what should I stay? What should I do? This is what the whole topic of this video is. What should you do in a dangerous situation? I believe this pandemic is a dangerous situation. He wanted to stay in Canada. He's prime minister or president. I'm not sure what the leader of New Zealand is called. Sorry. The leader of his country said, come home. And he was thinking of staying in Canada because he had insurance. But then he said to himself, or I can't remember. I think he spoke to somebody and they told him to double check, or he decided to double check. So he called his insurance and they said to him, if the prime minister, the leader says to come home and you don't, and you get sick in Canada, then you're not covered. So he realized that, okay, he's in trouble. So within 14 hours, so he bought a flight that night for home immediately. The flight would be in 14 hours later. That very same night, he got all his stuff while drunk. He had been drinking while drunk. He packed everything he could, threw everything in a suitcase, and got his stuff dealt with, and he was out the door. He didn't care about his lease. He didn't care about his furniture. He didn't care about anything. He just left all that stuff and he was gone. He was gone. I was just like, yeah, that's just way. It's just things. Who cares about these things? Get yourself out of this situation. Your leader said, come home. You're in danger. The leaders don't close borders for no reason. They said, come home. So he ended up going home, and there was a whole thing, and then turns out the person on the flight next to him was... Anyway, read the story. It's a really good read. It's very short, but they're gonna... when this pandemic is over, they're gonna talk about this for a long time. When things go bad, you have to be willing to let go. Like, he didn't even tell his roommates. He basically told them use his deposit as next month's rent, and then he just left, which is kind of a jerky thing to do, but I get it. Like your life is in danger. Get the heck out of there. Go. I rent a room. The roommate did the same thing too. She was just like, dude, I'm out. She was like, peace, I'm gone. She went home to her mom. Like, I was just here one day and I just heard her and a young boy's voice and an older woman's voice, and they were just here. They packed the room up and they were gone within a few hours. I'm like, yeah, I get it. If I had a different place to go, I'd be gone too. I get it. You know, it's at the end of the day, you gotta do the right thing. It's the number one priority is for you. People are refusing to cancel trips because of money. It's just things. Okay, you worked for it, but it's just things. It's just things. Forget about the things. Go. I was doing this thought experiment with a friend, just when the pandemic was just starting. So I was following WHO's pandemic guide. So before they can call things pandemic, so there's like level 1, level 2, etc. And I was saying to my friend, all right, how much, because I was listening to all these people, like at the time I already think it was a pandemic, but WHO was really, they were very hesitant to call it a pandemic because they knew that it would be such a big deal. I think that's why they're getting criticized right now, because they waited so long to call it a pandemic when it was already clearly a pandemic. So I was like, how much are you willing to spend? How much would a thing cost before you would take the risk? If it was $500, would you be willing to let it go? And she got up to like $50,000 and she'd be like, for $50,000, I'd take the risk. For me, I don't know. I don't think I would, because for me, it's just things. I don't know. I've had a lot of time to think about it. And maybe there's just something in my head that just doesn't think that items have value. Maybe that's why I don't have any items, because I don't think they have value. Like, I have things. I have a computer, I have an iPad, I have a pretty good phone. My phone costs like $1,000. My computer is my actual desktop cost me like $2,000. My monitor is like I worked for it and I saved up for it. But my point is, for me, they're just things. If I had to, like, if something, like, let's say right this second, right now, I went on Twitter right now, trending zombies, and outside there were zombies coming into the city. You think I would be caring as to any of that nonsense? No. What I would do is I'd make sure all my important files are in the cloud. I'd put some of the very important documents on my flash drive. I have my passport and my emergency funds in the bag. Put on some clothing. I have my backpack for some essentials. I'm out the door. Who cares? They're things. I don't care. They're items. People are so attached to things. That's why I had a trip to go to during the beginning of the pandemic. I didn't go because I did a risk assessment on the trip and it was too dangerous. It was a 6-hour trip on a very low budget bus. They didn't have sanitizer, like they didn't have means for me to keep myself from getting sick. And everybody made fun of me for not going. The trip was like $30. I'm like, yeah, it's $30, but, and I'm not happy that I lost $30, but I don't care. It's $30. I'm not saying, I know there are people over there, people who would listen and be like, oh, look at her spending. No, I work a minimum wage job. $30 is a lot of money for me. But like I said, it's just things. I don't put a lot of value on things. For me, it's just things. Yeah. I just don't think they have that much value. I'm not saying in regular time I should just throw the money away, but for me, And everybody was saying, oh, I knew you wouldn't go. And then a few days later, the same reason I was explaining to them why I didn't think it was safe, a story came out where, not on the bus I was taking, but literally on one of the other buses, the same situation that I was concerned about happened. A lady came from a trip overseas and she was concerned that she might have had the coronavirus, and she went on a bus filled with people to go to the hospital. And so now they were having trouble trying to find all these people who took the bus. And I'm just like, see, this is what I'm saying. This is why you don't know. The buses don't have means of keeping me safe. And this virus, at the time, it was really scary. I mean, it's still scary now. And especially with the way people are acting, it's still really scary. But I'm just like, no, I'm not going on that. I'm not spending my, I'm not going out there for $30. It's not worth it for me. No. At the very least, if you think that your things have that much value, which if you worked hard for it, yes, I get it, then you should do things to, if that's the reason why you are willing to make the risk, then you should do things to safeguard them. Get backups, get insurance, or whatever else, depending on the thing. Do what you can to, so that you don't have to worry too much about that being the reason why you end up endangering yourself. Just don't lose sight of what has the true value. Like, your life is, it's not something that is, you can't, it's not like a video game where, oh well, I lost, I'll do a restart. You can't. It's done. When it's done, it's done. It's so easy to just walk into a bad situation. It's so easy. Like, I don't know why it's that easy to just walk into a bad situation. But then when you try to walk out, it's like, no. You're staying right here. This situation, we're together now. You and me, we're not going anywhere. When it's a bad situation, it doesn't want to let you go. Like, right now, this coronavirus, look at it. It started so easy. One person. But now it won't go away. Mainly because people don't want to follow. Like, I was on Twitter a little while ago and I saw hashtag Trinity Bell. Is that what the park is called? Whatever it's called. I don't know. People were at the park and it looked like a party. I'm just like, this is Canada? We don't do that here. We're a community. We don't do that here. But it turns out that we do. It was so easy to get the coronavirus. It'll be hard to get rid of it. This virus isn't going anywhere. I'm just thinking, it's not going anywhere. All situations. Look at the people who are in a crowded place when a bad situation happens. You give them your ticket and you just walk in, you find your seat. The bad situation happens. You want to get out. How do you get out? You can't, because everybody's rushing to get out, so all the exits are crowded. So you can't. It's hard to get out. When a school situation happens, you just walk into school like any other day. Then the bad situation happens. You can't get out because you don't know where the person is. You have to try and figure out the way out. You can't. It's easy to get into a bad situation, but it's so hard to get out. You find yourself in a terrorist city. You just walked in. Hello, I'm here. Hi. Hello, I'm your victim to be. You want to get out? You can't, because they found their target. You think they're just gonna let you walk out? No, that's how traps work. It's easy to get into a trap. The whole point of a trap is to let you in. You can't get out. That's how it is. It's just, it's so ridiculous. That's why people can't afford to be blind in the world today. Enjoy your life, but don't live in fear. And don't live in fear, but pay attention. Don't ignore your instincts. Your ancestors spent millions of years dying to develop it for you. Don't wait for others to react. They might end up dragging you along into danger. Like, I was watching this documentary. Well, I mean, you could call it a documentary, maybe a mini documentary. And this man, he was talking about how people follow in the crowd because they're so confused, they end up going into danger because their senses are very confused and they think they're running away from danger. They're actually running into it, or they're walking into it. Don't follow the crowd. If you have misgivings, move yourself from the situation so that you can give yourself some time to think. Like, just take yourself away. You know, the brain stops working when you're in danger. I don't know, it's supposed to be a good instinct, but I think it's such a terrible instinct. It's like, how is that the instinct that's the dominant one? Like, when you're in danger, you stop thinking. We just live in such a different world now. The world is so weird these days. You know what? Don't give people control over you. That's what they want to do. They want to create chaos and they want to create fear. Enjoy life. Like, you only got the one, but you also want it to last as long as you can. So if you gotta enjoy it, you also have to be smart about it. Recognize that not everything is the level 0. Sometimes the risks do go up. And when you know that, be prepared for that. So if you're not in level 0 territory, don't act like you're in level 0 territory. If you're not at home, if you're not in your country, respect the traditions. Don't act with pride and don't act like you own. Act with respect. That's all I was just thinking. Just don't think of putting yourself in a place where you will find yourself wondering, how did I end up here? Especially if you don't have the ability to remove yourself from that situation. Remember, traps are easy to get in, but they're so darn difficult to get out of. And that is the topic of the day. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. If you like it, please hit that like button and subscribe. Bye!